Stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Some people will never understand your heart, even if you explain it 1,000 times. Your worth is not measured by how well you justify your choices. Sometimes, silence is the loudest form of self-respect. Once upon a time, in a quiet mountain village covered with soft morning fog, lived a young man named Arlen. He was gentle, thoughtful, and carried a kind of sincerity that made people feel safe. But that same sincerity came with a flaw. Arlen believed he owed the world an explanation for everything he did. If he was late, he apologized endlessly. If he couldn't help someone, he explained for hours. If someone misunderstood him, he tried desperately to fix their perspective. Little by little, the weight of trying to make everyone happy carved an invisible exhaustion into his soul.
So no one misunderstands
Arlen's
him.
parents were simple farmers who had spent their lives working the land. They taught him kindness, humility, and generosity. But they also taught him something unintentionally harmful: to always explain himself, so no one would ever think badly of him. A good person must justify their actions, his father used to say. A good person must justify their actions, his father used to say. And so Arlen grew up believing that silence was guilt, boundaries were selfishness, and saying no was a sign of disrespect. By the time he was in his early 20s, Arlen worked at a small carpentry shop in town. He was talented, incredibly so. But talent meant nothing when the world only saw a quiet boy who apologized for existing. His co-workers took advantage of his kindness. They asked him to stay late, clean up their messes, finish their work. And every time, Arlen explained why he said yes. "I don't want to trouble anyone," he'd say with a fragile smile. And every time he went home late, exhausted, his heart cracked a little more. If you've ever felt like you explain yourself too much just to be understood, please like this video and subscribe to English Story Academy. Your support helps this channel grow and bring more stories that heal and inspire. One evening, as the sun slid behind the mountains and the sky turned gold, Arlen walked home slower than usual. His shoulders slumped. His hands were rough and blistered. He wondered if anyone would ever see his worth without him having to explain it.
You can't carry
When he reached
everyone
home,
forever.
his mother noticed his tired eyes. "You can't carry everyone forever," she whispered. But Arlen only smiled weakly. "I just don't want anyone to misunderstand me." He didn't know yet that this fear would... The breaking point came on a stormy afternoon. Arlen's boss wrongly accused him of damaging an expensive piece of furniture. Arlen hadn't touched it, but the moment the blame was thrown at him, he panicked. He explained what happened once, twice, 10 times.
Nothing but excuses.
His voice trembled. His hands shook. His boss didn't care. "Excuses," he spat. The other workers watched, some amused, some indifferent. Arlen felt his heart tear open. He wasn't just explaining, he was begging to be seen as honest. When Arlen stepped outside into the rain, the storm felt gentle compared to the one inside him. He sat on a crate behind the workshop, letting the rain soak his hair, his clothes, his fear. Why do I always try so hard? Why do I give explanations to people who don't want to understand? For the first time, Arlen admitted the truth. He was tired of proving himself, tired of bending, tired of shrinking to fit into people's expectations. That night, something inside Arlen shifted. He walked into the workshop the next morning, calm and grounded. When his boss barked another order, Arlen didn't explain. He simply said, "No." The room fell silent. His co-workers froze. Arlen's voice didn't shake anymore. It wasn't anger, it was peace. His boss demanded a reason, but Arlen simply replied, "Because I don't owe you my exhaustion." And for the first time in his life, the next weeks were uncomfortable. People talked. Some were offended. Some said Arlen had changed. Some said he became selfish. It hurt. But Arlen held his silence like a shield. He realized something powerful. People who truly care never demand explanations for your boundaries. And those who don't care will simply twist them anyway. So Arlen focused on his craft. He worked quietly, took private commissions, and let his talent speak for him instead of his explanations. Slowly, something incredible happened. Word spread about a young carpenter who crafted with soul. His pieces weren't just furniture. They felt alive, carved with stories and warmth. Customers traveled from different towns to see his work. Arlen's quietness, once mocked, now made him mysterious. His humility became admirable. The world began to see the value he had carried all along, without him needing to explain it. One afternoon, a wealthy entrepreneur named Elias discovered Arlen's workshop. He admired every piece, running his fingers over the smooth edges with awe. "Your work carries emotion," Elias said. "It tells a story without using words." Arlen's heart tightened. For years he had screamed explanations into the void, and now someone understood him without needing any. Elias made an offer. He wanted to invest and partner with Arlen to build a large studio. For the first time, Arlen felt seen. As Arlen's studio grew, so did his confidence. He hired apprentices, provided jobs, trained local youth, and created a space where silence was respected and boundaries were honored. His mother visited often, holding his hands with pride. "You stopped explaining," she said softly, and the world finally started listening. Arlen smiled, not with the fragility of old, but with a quiet strength that no longer needed approval. But the true turning point came the day Arlen's former boss walked into his studio. The man looked smaller now, older, tired, humbled. He saw Arlen surrounded by workers who admired him, customers who trusted him, and a studio full of masterpieces. He tried to apologize, fumbling for excuses and explanations of his own. Arlen listened quietly, then offered a gentle nod. "You don't owe me an explanation," he said. "I've moved on." And without bitterness, he walked away. Arlen stood outside the studio that evening, feeling the mountain breeze brush against his face. It carried a feeling of freedom he had never known before. He realized that all his life, he had been handing out explanations like confessions, hoping to be understood, accepted, forgiven. But he finally understood. You don't owe your soul to people who refuse to see it. Not everyone deserves access to your reasons. Not everyone deserves the softness of your heart. As the sun dipped behind the mountains, Arlen looked around at what he had built. A life formed from strength, self-respect, and quiet resilience.
Arlen.
He no longer needed validation. He no longer needed permission to exist. His silence was no longer weakness. It was his armor. It was his boundary. It was his peace. And as the warm golden light spread across the valley, Arlen whispered to himself, "I don't need to explain who I am. I just need to be who I am." And so Arlen's story became a lesson for everyone who crossed his path. That your worth is not measured by how many explanations you give. Good hearts are often misunderstood, but they stay golden. And when you finally choose yourself, when you stop begging to be understood, life begins to bloom in ways. In the end, Arlen's journey reminds us that self-worth is not something to be negotiated or proven. It is something you must learn to honor within yourself. We often waste pieces of our spirit trying to convince people who have already decided not to see us clearly. But strength is found in choosing peace over panic, boundaries over burnout, and authenticity. When you stop explaining yourself to those who refuse to understand, you create space for those who genuinely value your truth. Arlen didn't change the world by justifying himself. He changed it by becoming himself. His silence was not retreat. It was growth. His no was not defiance. It was healing. And his courage to stop explaining became the key that unlocked the life he deserved. Let his story remind you that you do not owe explanations for your heart, your choices, or your peace. You owe yourself freedom, and it begins the moment you stop apologizing for who you are. And in that quiet confidence, you discover a powerful truth. The people who matter will meet you with empathy, not interrogation. They will feel your sincerity without needing every detail. Let your actions, your kindness, and your boundaries speak for you. Walk forward knowing that your truth is enough. Always. Stop explaining yourself. People who love you don't need it. People who don't will never believe it. Live your truth, without apology. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who needs strength today, and subscribe to English Story Academy for more powerful life-changing stories.